Ladies and gentlemen, Nefertiti Harris. I'm 8 years old. In the 60s, Chicago, Illinois. My mom is a black activist, beautiful afro, the first African-American woman on the south side of Chicago, I really believe this, that had an afro. My dad was a factory worker and a frustrated musician. My mom comes home one day and she says, "We are not pressing our hair anymore. That is it. Watu Wazuri." And I'm thinking, well, I don't really know what that means, except for the fact that there will be no more grease running on the side of my ears and no more burns. Okay, I'll take that. She washes my hair. I look in the mirror and I see myself, but I see her. And I'm loving it. Okay, we can do this. Off I go to school the next day. I'm proud. I think I'm looking really good. But when I hit that classroom, you black African, you Bosco, you jolly green giant. I'm like, whoa, hey, where is all this coming from? I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling ashamed. I am really confused about the whole thing. I run home. I tell my mom about my experience at school. And then she shows me an encyclopedia. You know those things, those books that we used to have when you actually look in it and they have pictures and stories? Those things? So she shows me these wonderful photos of this beautiful group of people called the Watusi people in Africa. And I don't know who they are, but they're beautiful. The story she shares with me is beautiful. And then she says, you know, you're a princess. You're from the Watusi people. They're long, they're lean, they're beautiful, and that's who you are. So when you go back to that school, you tell them that you are from the Watusi people. I'm like, yeah, I got it now. I got this. I'm from the Watusi people. How about that? I go to school. Here it comes. You African, you need to do something with you Bosco, you jolly green giant. Oh, I got this. No, I'm from the Watusi people. That is my shield. This is my mantra. So as the insults fly, they're bounced because this is my shield. I am from the Watusi people. And guess what? I'm also a princess. Bet you didn't know that. I go back home, tell my mom, hey, everything's fine. It's all good. I'm great. Time goes on, the riots hit. My mother and my father find a wonderful home in the suburbs of Chicago. We go to our new neighborhood, settle into our new house. Then she has to take me to school. I'm ready for school. Okay, this is great. Another great experience. Except for the fact that when I get there, it's an all-white school, and I am the only black girl in class, and the only black girl with a natural. And here we go again. Only this time, I met with spitballs. Spitballs, you African, why don't you go back to your own neighborhood? My mantra, it didn't work this time. As a matter of fact, I didn't put the mantra on. I had my lunchbox and said, you know what, I'm coming out swinging now. Later for the mantra. Let's go. So it gets to the point where my mom has to take me out of the school and enroll me into a smaller school that was much more diverse, And there were other students that looked like me and not like me. There were Asian students, there were Hispanic students, there were Caucasian students. It was a beautiful experience. So I'm going to school with my beautiful afro, I'm loving it. Time moves on. And by the time the 70s hit, late 70s, now I'm in. That fro is getting bigger and bigger. I'm loving it, because now everybody has an afro. Now it's Wantu Waziri time for real. It's Johnson product for real. We're loving it. It's political. It's a statement. It's stylish. It's culture. I'm just loving who I am. Then I get to college. The college years hit. Go to college with my beautiful afro. I'm looking around and I'm, Now look, she's swinging her hair. How is she swinging it? She has a perm, or is it hair straight? What is that? I'm looking at that. You know, the disco ball is down. You know, they got the red lipstick on. The hair is flowing all over the place. I'm like, look at how her hair is shaking while she's dancing. I might want some of that. I go get my hair pressed. Actually, it was permed. Got my hair permed. Look at myself in the mirror. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about this one. This might be a bad idea. I look like a chicken, as a matter of fact. My hair is all stuck to my head. There's nothing fun about this. And my hair's not shaking like those other girls. I go home and I wash my hair. Look back in the mirror. Ah, look at those kinks come in. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm back to myself once again. Time moves on. I braid my hair. I cornrow it. I do all kind of beautiful things to my natural hair, my naturally kinky curly hair. Then I'm listening to this music, and it's sounding kind of good. I'm like, what is that? That's reggae? Who is it? Bob Marley. Who is Bob Marley? I look at him, I watch him on TV. I'm like, wait a minute. Look at his hair. What is that? Beautiful Congo bongo locks. They're here and they're there and they're shaking all over the place. And I'm like, oh, he looks kind of free. I might want some of that too. In the midst of all of this, my dad is having conversations with me. And one of the things my dad shares with me is how frustrated he is with the job that he has. And he advises me, look, don't work somewhere where you don't want to be. Don't live your life that way. Then he shares, you know, you come from a family of spiritualists. As a matter of fact, I can touch someone's hand and tell their life story. I take that on for size too. That becomes a little mantra in the back of my head. But you know, I'm partying. It's Bob Marley. It's fun. So then I think to myself, you know, that's really free. I want some of that. I want some of those dreadlocks. That's what I want. So I start to ask around, how do you get your hair like that? How do you do that? What is that called? And I get all kind of answers. Well, you do it with beeswax. No, you just let your hair go, this and that. So I had a little meditation with myself, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop combing my hair. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just stop combing my hair and see what happens. Stop combing my hair. That was a journey. And as I stopped combing my hair, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk out this door just like when I was 8 years old, and you better not say nothing about my head. I got something for you. I walk out with my natural hair doing whatever it's gonna do. My hair begins to lock up. It's beautiful. It's kinky. It's white. It's just free. And I'm free with it. And as time goes on, I was interested in what to do with my locks. So then I said, well, where do I go to figure out how to style my hair, how to get hot oil treatments? Where do I go? in comes my good brother, Arishan. He opens up the first natural hair salon in Detroit. I go to his shop, and I'm just sitting there. I'm just sitting there watching and listening and loving the whole experience. And I'm inspired at that point. Then I begin to learn more about how to cultivate locks, how to start locks, how to work with natural hair, and I acquire a clientele. And as I acquired my clientele, interesting things began to happen. I began to see my clients' lives as I'm working with their hair. And at first I questioned myself. No, well, you don't really see that. You're just making that up in your head. And it would persist. And then I would share some of the things that I saw and felt about my clients with them. And they would confirm, how did you know that? And then the stories would ensue. And they would share more and more stories with me. And the more stories that they shared with me, the more I began to share antidotes of healing with them. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And one day, a wonderful gentleman was referred to me, came to my space to get his hair done. He walked in the door, and I was impressed. Suited down, cosmopolitan, silky brown skin. He was fine. And I tried not to look, but I did observe. And he sat down, and I started doing his hair. And he was pretty quiet, very guarded. I said, okay, you got this, you're gonna break the brother down. All right, he'll start talking in a minute, okay. Okay, he came 2-3 times. I'm like, he's not saying anything. Then the 4th time, I'm like, oh, I get it. I am going to go and put on a little lipstick, a little smell good, get myself together, act like I'm gonna meet somebody, in the space. Get myself all hooked up, comes in, sits down once again. This time, he starts talking. I'm like, I knew that was gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. But when he's talking, he's frustrated and he's complaining. And he starts to complain about women. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go again. Here we go again, another hater. Okay. But as he's talking, he's saying, I don't understand why these women on my job and the women in my family continue to try to hook me up with other women. Now I'm scratching my head. Now what is he trying to tell me here? And he's talking, and I'm listening. He's talking and talking. He's talking about how frustrated he is. And he says, can't they just tell I'm not into women? Can't they just tell that I am gay? I said, don't drop the comb, Nefertiti. Drop this comb over this man's head. Don't you do that now. It's rude. And I listened and I listened. And the more he spoke, the more I listened. And then we became friends because I understood at that point really that I was a secret keeper. I was a secret keeper, and I was honored to be that. We became good friends. One day he came to my house and he said, I'm getting ready to go to Europe. I said, you go to Europe and you have fun. You have a wonderful time. Express yourself. Be who you want to be. Go to Europe. He goes to Europe. He comes back. He has a wonderful gift for me. Wonderful stories. We're laughing. We're having a good time. He leaves. And then I don't see him for a minute. Okay. 1 month goes by. Another month goes by. 3rd month goes by. And a friend of his comes to get his hair done. I ask him, hey, where's our friend? He turned around, really slow. His arm was over the chair. He looked at me and he said, didn't you hear? Didn't I hear what? Didn't you hear about what happened? I said, no, what? He hung himself. And it took the breath out of me. I was transfixed. And I just said, well, he did what? What? Yeah, he hung himself. He just couldn't take it anymore. I said, wait a minute. Are you telling me that he would rather take his own life because he couldn't deal with coming out? He couldn't deal with not being accepted for his family. He couldn't deal with not being accepted by his church, by his community. He couldn't deal with judgment. He would rather be out of here than just be who he naturally is. I had to really, really think about that. It hit me in the gut. It hit me in the heart. And I became a bit of an activist. You're not going to be homophobic around me. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say something about it, okay? But the one thing that's my friend, one of the lessons, the many lessons that my friend left me with was the lesson of being non-judgmental, being accepting, and being loving to those that we might not understand, that might not be just like, might not be who we think they should be. I was left with those lessons, and I was also left once again with the lesson of activism. And I look at the gift that my friend gave me, I put it on my altar, and I think about him often. Thank you.
Nefertiti Harris, my friend.